While it is disappointing that the new Star Fox game is just Star Fox 64 again, but maybe just a bit more uncanny this time, there is something that I think is getting overlooked, and that is the major new element that is getting added to this remake. Now, while of course the graphics, music, everything's getting a major overhaul, the big addition that's not necessarily something that already existed in the game before is the expanded storytelling of Star Fox 64. The new Star Fox game has cutscenes that occur in between missions that expand on the story of the Star Fox team, and seems to really focus in the inter-team relationship of these four main characters. And that has me really excited. This is probably what Nintendo is banking on to revive the Star Fox series, and I think it's their best chance that they've had in 20 years. Now, to put this all in perspective, let's go back to the beginning. Miyamoto's biggest inspiration for Star Fox was a British TV show called Thunderbirds. Alright, it's about these marionette puppets that fly these vehicles all around the world conducting rescues, international rescues.
International rescue is ready!
Now, obviously the puppet style was a major influence on Star Fox. With the first game, basically all of the box art and marketing included these puppet versions of the characters. But I think this TV show influence goes deeper than just aesthetics. Star Fox itself naturally has a episodic or TV-like approach to its storytelling. If you look at Star Fox 64, each mission kind of is its own self-contained narrative. There's a beginning, middle, and end. Star Fox approaches a new planet or system. There might be a new character. There's a struggle. There's a boss fight. There's a major event that tops off the whole thing. It's kind of like the same philosophy as a lot of Saturday morning cartoons, where in this week's episode, our heroes are in a new predicament and you're watching to see how they get out of it. And I think we often forget just like how incredible Star Fox 64 was in a storytelling sense in this period of time. There was so much going on with video game storytelling in this era, Metal Gear Solid, Half-Life, Final Fantasy VII, that I think Star Fox 64 can get easily overlooked. But the fact that a whole game on the Nintendo 64 had voiced characters with unique lines of dialogue that basically were the main drivers of the story as you experienced it was a pretty big deal. Now, the big controversy of the Star Fox series is that the follow-up to Star Fox 64 was a game called Star Fox Adventures. This game was originally called Dinosaur Planet. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but Miyamoto saw it, said, hey, this character reminds me of Fox McCloud. Why don't you just make this a Star Fox game? Boom, Star Fox Adventures. Now, I'm not going to go down a big Star Fox Adventures rabbit hole. I'm not doing it. Let's do that later, okay? We're not doing that right now. But it was a shock to fans who were expecting a game where, you like flew around and shot at stuff. But I think if you take this mentality of seeing it as an episodic TV show, then all of a sudden you can see how Miyamoto squared the circle of how this could possibly be a Star Fox game. So me personally, Star Fox Adventures was actually my first Star Fox game as a kid. And when I got it, I just knew him as the character from Super Smash Bros. I didn't really realize that his main thing was like flying, right? So when I got that game, I fell in love with it, fell in love with the whole adventure, and I got Star Fox Assault next. Now, Star Fox Assault, I didn't question why the gameplay was completely different. For me, as a kid, it was just like the next episode. I was just interested in seeing how the story continued. What is happening to Star Fox this week? What's going on in the new episode, essentially? Now, that's my own personal experience. Of course, there's subjective qualities to all these games that can be, is Star Fox Adventures a good game? Is Star Fox Assault a good game? I'm not here to answer that right now. I do want to say amongst Zillennials or Gen Z that there does seem to be an affinity for the GameCube Star Fox games, and from my experiences online, there's a lot of people who feel the same way I do about these two games. Now let's put a pin on that, and we'll come back to that later. The next game in the series was Star Fox Command, which released in 2006 on the Nintendo DS, and it sold really bad, and it basically was continuing a downward trajectory of bad sales for the last however many Star Fox games. Star Fox Command narratively does continue a trend with Star Fox with a big focus on storytelling, but it had 9 different endings, it was all in text, and I mean, at that point it's pretty niche. Even if you were a fan of Star Fox 64, there's not really necessarily the biggest chance you got it on the Nintendo DS, but Nintendo wrote themselves into a corner. There were 9 different endings, and the game wasn't even a big hit. At this point, I think Nintendo is just focused on what things work for them because, of course, they were in not dire economic straits, but they really were trying to turn things around with the Wii, focusing on games that I think really showcased what Nintendo was best at. So it's not until 10 years later that we get Star Fox Zero. Now, again, I'm not here to really talk about the quality of the game, but what I do want to talk about is that this game was pretty regressive in its storytelling technique for Star Fox. It was a hard reboot and really took the approach of what Star Fox 64 did for the series in terms of narrative. The game didn't do well for a multitude of reasons. Mixed reviews on the control scheme. It was on the Wii U, so it already had a really low install base. And I mean, nobody really talks about the story from that game. It's just a retreading of Star Fox 64. And not even really focusing on necessarily the quality of the storytelling across Star Fox. I know it's kind of a mixed bag, but the last 3 games in the series did a lot of work to at least push the games forward narratively in some way. It was the feeling of what adventure is Star Fox going into next. Now, there were a lot of challenges with Star Fox Zero. It had been 10 years since the last game. And I mean, yeah, like I said, they wrote themselves in a corner with Star Fox Command. Like, what are you going to do? I don't necessarily blame them for trying the reboot, but it was disappointing. And yeah, the game fumbled. Here we are, 10 years later, and they're making Star Fox 64 again. Has Nintendo lost the plot? Well, yeah, sort of. But like I said earlier, where I put a pin in about how any remaining Star Fox fan, that a lot of them are engaged with these stories narratively, remaking Star Fox 64 with this narrative focus will build a new foundation for the series going forward. Nintendo's been hitting a lot of home runs in the Nintendo Switch era. They've become very dominant in their space and really have gotten to this point where it feels like you could never really replace Nintendo. They have their own spot that PlayStation or Xbox can never really touch, and that's because they have series like Mario, which is their Mickey Mouse, Donkey Kong, which is their Popeye the Sailor Man, Metroid, an Alien stand-in, The Legend of Zelda, their Studio Ghibli analog. And what can Star Fox be in all of that? Star Fox can be their Thunderbirds, their Saturday morning cartoon. Beyond just being a game about piloting vehicles in a 3D space, Star Fox can be the game for Nintendo where you're engaged in the story of where you want to see these characters going. How are they going to evolve? And something that you can feel like you're a part of more than just flying around and fighting epic bosses. Now, of course, I'm not saying that the story is the only thing that needs to work for a continued Star Fox revival. They need to evolve the gameplay. They have to get past Star Fox 64. But this remake is showing that they are planning on moving past it. By adding new original story beats and elements to Star Fox 64, that gives them the opportunity to build out a series that they can work on long into the future, creating something that we could be following for years, loving every twist and turn, and just enjoying the ride. And I think Nintendo's really hedging their bets on this one. They put him in the Mario movie for a reason. They want kids to go out and buy this game. It's only going to be $60, which is a pretty low entry point these days, which is kind of sad to say. If you look at the art design and the graphic work in this game, it's incredible. The reworked soundtrack is absolutely stunning. And most importantly, the storytelling elements seem to really be top quality. I mean, the animation work for these characters is really, really good. These new scenes seem to really show Nintendo focusing on trying to get this series off the ground. Haha, they're flying. And I'm super excited to see how things develop. I think there's they're really setting up this Fox and Falco rivalry. Just even they shoot these looks at each other, which is really subtle and nuanced. It's not like them just saying out loud hey, I'm your rival, oh blah 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 blah. You know, if the game does devolve into that, I will be upset and disappointed. But so far, I'm really impressed with just the overall presentation and the quality and effort put into this remake. The animation looks incredible. Voice acting sounds great. Writing, I'm gonna hold my cards on that one because I don't want to. I don't want to say it's great now and then, it reveals it's some Star Fox Zero intro shit. That was bad. That was cringy.
Hey, what's that? It's a good luck charm, made out of General Pepper's fur.
And if this all doesn't work, well, you know, I guess I'll just play Adventures and Assault again. I've already been doing it for 20 years. What's another 10 years until they try to reboot Starfox again? Don't cry for me. I've already cried enough.